The giant space station floated in the darkness like a metal city. Ships from all over the galaxy came and went from its many docking bays. This was Nexus Prime, where the most important aliens in the universe met to decide things. Today, they were going to look at Earth and decide if humans could join their group. Lisa Carter stood in the middle of a huge room filled with the strangest creatures she had ever seen. Some looked like floating crystals. Others had too many arms and legs. The scariest ones were tall lizard people with shiny black skin and yellow eyes. These were the Vorthak, and they were known for being the best fighters in the galaxy. Lisa was nervous, but she tried not to show it. She had one job today. She had to show these aliens that Earth was worth paying attention to. She had to prove that humans and their planet deserved respect. "Hello, honored members of the Council," Lisa said, her voice carrying across the room. "I want to show you the amazing animals that live on our planet Earth. These creatures prove that our world is special and that we humans take good care of it." The lights dimmed, and a big screen appeared in the air above Lisa's head. Pictures began to show, one after another. First came the eagles, flying high above mountains with their wings spread wide. The aliens watched with some interest. Next came tigers, orange and black, moving through green jungles like silent shadows. A few aliens nodded their heads. Then sharks appeared on the screen, cutting through blue ocean water with their powerful tails and rows of sharp teeth. Some of the lizard aliens, the Vorthak, leaned forward in their seats. Their leader, General Krexthor, seemed especially interested in these predators. "Good specimens," the general said in his deep, rumbling voice. "Your hunters show promise. We might be able to use creatures like these in our fighting arenas." Lisa felt a small bit of hope. Maybe this was going well after all. The screen kept showing more animals. Wolves running in packs through snow, lions resting in tall grass, bears standing on their back legs. But then the presentation changed. Now it showed some of Earth's more unusual animals. Penguins waddling across ice, looking like they were wearing fancy suits. Pandas sitting and eating bamboo, looking fat and lazy. The aliens seemed less interested in these. Then came the moment that would change everything. A hippopotamus appeared on the screen. It was big and gray and round, sitting in muddy brown water. Its small ears twitched as flies buzzed around. Its head, it looked peaceful and harmless, like a giant gray bean floating in a bathtub. The reaction from the aliens was immediate and terrible. The insect-like aliens started making clicking sounds with their mouths. Lisa had learned that this was how they laughed. "What is this thing?" one of them asked through the translation machine. "It looks like a water pillow with legs." The Vorthak were even worse. They started making loud barking sounds, which was how their species laughed. General Krexthor stood up, his huge body shaking with laughter. "Humans," he said between his barks, "you show us your greatest predators, and then you show us this fat pig that lives in water?" Even the crystal aliens, who were usually very serious and polite, started shimmering in a way that meant they thought something was funny. The whole room filled with alien laughter. Different species made different sounds, but they were all laughing at the hippo on the screen. Dr. Jake Morrison, who was Lisa's partner and knew a lot about animals, stepped forward quickly. "Wait, please listen," he said urgently. "The hippopotamus is actually one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. They kill more people than lions do. If you look at the facts—" "Silence," General Krexthor shouted, and his laughter turned into anger. "Do not make us even more angry by lying to us, human. We can see your information. This creature eats plants and spends all day floating in mud like a lazy child in a bath. You want us to believe this harmless blob is dangerous?" The other Vorthak pointed their clawed fingers at the screen, where the hippo was now shown eating grass on a riverbank. It moved slowly and seemed to have trouble even walking on land. The insect alien's voice was full of contempt. "Perhaps humans evolved from such weak creatures. That would explain a lot about your species." Lisa felt her face turn red with embarrassment. This was a disaster. Everything she had worked for was falling apart because of a hippo slideshow. "Jake," tried again. "The bite force is over 1,800 pounds per square inch. They're very territorial and surprisingly fast when they want to be. Enough! The voice that spoke was neither Vorthak nor insect. It belonged to High Arbiter Velthara, the most powerful being in the Galactic Council. When she spoke, everyone else became quiet immediately. The humans have provided enough entertainment for today. We will meet again tomorrow to discuss whether you can join our council. As the meeting ended, Lisa heard pieces of conversation from the aliens as they left. They were still making jokes about the deadly hippo. General Krexthor was especially loud, telling his followers, "Wait until I tell the War Council about the humans' apex predator. Maybe we should get some of these dangerous hippos for our next gladiator games." That night in the small rooms given to the human visitors, Jake walked back and forth while Lisa sat with her head in her hands. "Jake, we're finished," she said, quietly. "They'll never take us seriously now. We worked for 50 years to get this chance, and we became a joke because of a hippo presentation." Jake stopped walking and looked out the window at the stars. "Lisa, they have no idea what they just dismissed. None of them understand that on Earth, the most dangerous things often don't look dangerous. They think everything dangerous must have big teeth and claws and armor. Well, maybe we should have shown them crocodiles instead of hippos." "No," Jake said firmly, turning back to look at her. "This might actually help us. Let them think we're weak. Let them think hippos are harmless water pigs. When the right time comes, the truth has a way of showing itself." Neither Lisa nor Jake knew that across the station, General Krexthor was already making plans. The Vorthak Empire's biggest gladiator event was only 3 months away, and he had just gotten a very amusing idea for a new exhibition match. The general smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Those foolish humans and their dangerous hippo had just given him the perfect opportunity to entertain the entire galaxy. He would show everyone what happened when Earth's so-called apex predators faced real warriors. It would be the most hilarious mismatch in gladiatorial history. The betting pools would go crazy and everyone would have a good laugh at humanity's expense. What could possibly go wrong? General Krexthor had no way of knowing that he was about to learn a very important lesson about Earth animals. He was about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones that don't look dangerous at all. Sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones that spend their days floating peacefully in muddy water, looking like harmless, lazy giants. The hippo on the screen had looked so innocent, so harmless, so completely non-threatening. But General Krexthor had never seen what happened when a hippo decided that something was a threat to its territory. He had never witnessed the explosive speed, the crushing bite force, or the absolute fearlessness that made these harmless creatures responsible for more human deaths in Africa than any other large animal. He was about to get an education in Earth biology that he would never forget. The entire galaxy was about to learn that humans hadn't been lying or exaggerating. They had been trying to warn everyone about something that looked like a joke but was actually a nightmare. But that lesson would have to wait. For now, the aliens laughed and made their plans, completely unaware that they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. 3 weeks had passed since the terrible presentation. Lisa and Jake were still on the space station, waiting to hear what the council would decide about Earth. They had tried to forget about the hippo disaster, but everyone they met still made jokes about it. Then something unexpected happened. A message came to their small room. When Lisa pressed the button, General Krexthor's face appeared on the screen. The big lizard alien looked very pleased with himself, which made Lisa nervous. "Hello, humans," he said without any greeting or small talk. "I hope you have been enjoying your stay on our station, though I understand your request to join the council has been delayed." Lisa looked at Jake, then back at the screen. "General Krexthor, what do you want from us?" "It is what I can do for you," the Vorthak replied. His voice sounded friendly, but his yellow eyes looked mean. "I have been thinking about your presentation, especially about that funny water creature. What did you call it?" "Oh yes, the hippopotamus." Jake stepped closer to the screen. "What about it?" "Well, my dear animal expert, I have decided to give your species a chance to prove what you said. In 2 months, the Vorthak Empire will host the Grand Colosseum Games. It is the biggest fighting event in this part of the galaxy. Billions of beings from hundreds of worlds will watch. Lisa felt cold fear run down her back. What exactly are you suggesting? A simple exhibition match, Krexthor said. He tried to sound casual, but his eyes were bright with excitement. Your deadly hippopotamus against one of our trained warbeasts. Nothing that will kill anyone, of course. When your creature runs away or gives up, it will show everyone the truth about your planet's animals and your species' habit of lying. And if we say no? Lisa asked. Then your application to join the Council will show that humanity does not have the courage to defend what they claim is true. The Galactic Council values honesty above all else. Species that make big claims they cannot prove are rarely considered trustworthy partners. Jake's jaw got tight with anger. You are setting us up. This is not a fair test of anything. On the contrary, Krexthor replied smoothly, I am giving you a chance to prove your species can be trusted on the biggest stage in the galaxy. Say no, and you confirm what everyone thinks about human honesty. Say yes and win, and maybe some of the laughter from your presentation will be forgotten. What kind of warbeast? Lisa found herself asking, even though she immediately wished she had not. Nothing too strong, Krexthor said with that scary smile. A Krylox hunter. They are common in our gladiator games, about the size of your Earth tigers, but with natural armor and bred to be more aggressive, quite manageable for a truly dangerous predator. Jake's scientific mind started working despite how bad the situation was. What about the environment? The arena can be set up for different landscapes. Since your creature is amphibious, we could put in a water feature. A small pool, perhaps? Lisa wanted to refuse right away, but she knew Krexthor was right about one thing. If they said no, it would destroy any chance of humanity gaining respect in the galactic community. We need time to think about this. Of course, you have 1 week to decide. Oh, and humans? Krexthor's expression became more predatory. I should mention that I have already started promoting this possible exhibition. The betting pools are very active, with odds currently running 500 to 1 against your apex predator. It would be unfortunate if the most anticipated comedy event of the games had to be cancelled because humans were too scared. The transmission ended, leaving Lisa and Jake in shocked silence. We cannot do this, Lisa said finally. It is a trap. They want to humiliate us in front of the entire galaxy. Jake was quiet for a long moment, staring at the blank screen. Maybe, or maybe this is exactly the opportunity we need. Jake, you have lost your mind. A hippo against an armored alien predator bred for fighting? It is suicide. No, Lisa. It is a chance to show them what they do not understand about Earth. Jake turned to her, his eyes bright with sudden determination. They think danger has to look dangerous. They think predators have to be obvious, but the deadliest things on our planet often look harmless. A hippo is not going to win a gladiator match, Jake. That depends on the rules and the environment. They said water would be provided. They think they are giving us help, but they do not understand that hippos are most dangerous in their own element. Lisa shook her head. Even if you are right, how do we get a hippo here? The logistics alone are impossible. Leave that to me, Jake said with growing confidence. I have contacts at the San Diego Zoo. Dr. Amanda Price has been working with psychological conditioning in large mammals. If anyone can prepare a hippo for this kind of situation, it is her. You are talking about turning a zoo animal into a gladiator. No, Jake corrected. I am talking about letting a hippo be what it naturally is. One of the most territorial, aggressive, and physically powerful animals on Earth. The Vorthak think they are setting up a comedy show. Instead, they are about to get a biology lesson. Lisa looked at her colleague for a long moment, seeing the determination in his face. Against her better judgment, she felt a spark of the same resolve. If we do this and it goes wrong, we are finished as a species in galactic politics. And if we do not do it, we are finished anyway, Jake replied. At least this way we go, down fighting. The next morning, Lisa sent their response to General Krexthor. The human delegation accepts your challenge. When the message was received, General Krexthor laughed so hard that his subordinates thought he might be having some kind of medical emergency. The humans had actually agreed to the match. They were going to bring their fat water pig to fight. a Krylox hunter in front of the entire galaxy. He immediately started making calls to the betting houses, the news networks, and the gladiator arena managers. This was going to be the most entertaining mismatch in the history of the games. The comedy value alone would make it worth the effort. Prepare the standard Krylox combat arena, he told his arena manager, and add a small water feature for the Earth creature. We want to give it every possible advantage before it loses. The manager looked confused. Sir, why are we accommodating a creature that has no chance of winning? Because, General Krexthor explained with great satisfaction, the more advantages we give the hippopotamus, the more embarrassing it will be when it still loses. The humans will have no excuses. The entire galaxy will see that their so-called dangerous predator cannot even win when given every possible help. Across the galaxy, news of the upcoming exhibition match began to spread. Most beings found it hilarious. The humans were actually going to pit their harmless water animal against a trained Vorthak Warbeast. Betting pools opened on hundreds of worlds, with the odds heavily favoring the Krylox. Some aliens felt sorry for the humans and their creature. Others thought it was cruel to put a harmless animal in such danger. But most simply saw it as the funniest thing that had happened in galactic politics in years. None of them understood what they were really going to see. None of them knew that hippos kill more people in Africa than lions, leopards, and crocodiles combined. None of them had ever seen what happens when a 3-ton herbivore decides that something is threatening its territory. They were all about to get an education in Earth biology that would change how they thought about danger forever. The galaxy was about to learn that on Earth, the most terrifying predators often look like harmless, lazy animals floating peacefully in muddy water. But first, Jake had to figure out how to get a hippo to the Vorthak Gladiator Arena. And more importantly, he had to make sure it was the right hippo for the job. 6 weeks later, the cargo ship Destiny's Edge arrived at the biggest space station anyone had ever seen. Coliseum Rex was like a metal moon floating in space, covered with docking bays and weapon systems that showed how powerful the Vorthak Empire was. This was where the most famous gladiator fights in the galaxy took place. Dr. Amanda Price stood in the cargo bay, watching over the special container that had been her whole life for the past month. Inside the climate-controlled unit, a 3-year-old, male hippopotamus named Bruno rested peacefully. Bruno had been chosen not just because he was big and healthy, but because he had the right personality. Among all the hippos at the San Diego Zoo, he was the most territorial and the least willing to back down from a fight. "How is our champion doing?" Jake asked, walking up to the habitat with Lisa and their small team. "Physically, he is perfect," Amanda replied, not taking her eyes off the monitoring screens. "His stress levels are normal and he has adapted well to the artificial environment. The river system we installed in the arena should feel like home to him." "And mentally?" Lisa asked. Amanda's expression became more serious. "That is the unknown factor. I have worked with Bruno for 3 years, and I can tell you he has never backed down from a challenge. When the zoo's male rhino got too close to his territory last year, Bruno charged right through a reinforced barrier to get at him. But this situation is unlike anything his species has ever faced." Captain Roy Davis, their military advisor, approached with a tablet. "I have been reviewing the arena specifications. The Vorthak have kept their word about the water feature. They have installed a pool system that is 30 feet deep and covers about a quarter of the arena floor. Bruno will have room to move around." "What about their Warbeast?" Jake asked. "The Krylox hunter arrived yesterday," Roy reported grimly. "I managed to get some surveillance footage." He activated his tablet, showing a creature that was indeed about tiger-sized, but that was where any similarity ended. The Krylox had thick, overlapping armor plates along its back and sides, 6 legs ending in razor-sharp claws, and a head that was mostly jaw filled with serrated teeth. It moves fast, hits hard, and according to Vorthak records, has never lost a match. Amanda watched the footage with professional interest. "Classic predator build designed for quick kills. Look at the muscle structure in the back legs. This thing is made to leap and slash." "Can Bruno handle it?" Lisa asked. "In open terrain?" "Probably not," Amanda admitted. "But if he can get it into the water, or even near the water's edge, everything changes. Hippos are much faster in their element than people think, and their bite force is incredible. If Bruno can get those jaws around any part of that creature. That is a big if, Roy said skeptically. It is the only chance we have, Jake replied. The entire plan depends on the Krylox making the mistake of thinking Bruno is harmless just like their masters do. Over the past month, news of the exhibition match had spread throughout the galaxy. What had started as Krexthor's private joke had grown into the most anticipated event of the games. Betting pools on dozens of worlds were taking bets, with the odds still heavily favoring the Krylox. Most gamblers were not betting on who would win, but on how quickly the Earth Pig would give up. The human delegation had received messages from throughout the galaxy. Most were mocking, some were sympathetic, but all were watching. The Crystal Alien Ambassador had sent a formal note expressing hope that the human creature would not suffer too much. Even some human colonies in distant systems had sent messages, ranging from encouragement to begging them to withdraw from what they saw as certain humiliation. No pressure, Lisa muttered as she watched alien news feeds on her tablet. The coverage was universally dismissive of Earth's chances. One popular, Vorthak sports commentator had begun calling the match feeding time at the zoo. Let them talk, Amanda said firmly. They are about to learn something about Earth animals that zoos rarely teach. We did not domesticate the dangerous ones. As evening approached by the station's artificial day cycle, General Krexthor arrived for the traditional pre-match inspection. The Vorthak leader walked into the cargo bay with his entourage, his presence filling the space with predatory confidence. So, he rumbled, approaching Bruno's habitat. This is the famous Earth predator. He leaned closer to the transparent barrier, studying the hippo with obvious amusement. It appears to be sleeping. Resting, Amanda corrected. Conserving energy. Ah. Krexthor nodded seriously. A wise strategy. It will need all its strength for running away. His followers made clicking sounds at the joke. Jake stepped forward. General, I am curious about the match rules. What counts as victory? Simple, Krexthor replied. Submission, unconsciousness, or death, though I hardly expect the latter. Your creature will likely submit the moment it sees the Krylox. These exhibition matches rarely last more than a few minutes. And if our hippo wins? The question caused another round of Vorthak laughter. Dr. Morrison, if your hippo defeats a trained Krylox hunter, I will personally recommend humanity for immediate full membership in the Galactic Council. But I suggest you prepare speeches for the opposite outcome. After the Vorthak delegation left, the human team gathered around Bruno's habitat. The big hippo had woken up during the visit and was now floating calmly in his pool, only his eyes and nostrils above water. Tomorrow, the entire galaxy gets to see what a real Earth predator looks like, Amanda said quietly. Do you think he knows what is coming? Roy asked. Jake studied Bruno's calm expression. I think he knows what he is. Tomorrow, everyone else will too. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, the Krylox hunter called Sharpclaw was being prepared for the match. The alien predator had been bred and trained specifically for gladiatorial combat. It had fought 17 times and won every match. Its handlers were confident that tomorrow would be number 18. The Krylox was a perfect killing machine. 6 legs gave it incredible stability and speed. Its armor could deflect most attacks. Its claws could cut through metal. Its bite could crush bone. It had been designed by thousands of years of selective breeding to be the ultimate arena fighter. But Sharpclaw had never fought anything like a hippopotamus. In all its training, it had faced creatures that looked dangerous. Creatures with obvious weapons like claws and fangs and spines. Creatures that roared and snarled and displayed their aggression openly. It had never faced a creature that looked harmless, but could bite with nearly 2 tons of pressure per square inch. It had never fought an animal that could move at 30 miles per hour through water. It had never encountered something that was territorial enough to attack anything that entered its space. No matter how big or scary it looked, the betting pools across the galaxy had closed with final odds of 847 to 1 against the hippo. A few brave souls had bet on the Earth creature, mostly as a joke or because they felt sorry for it. Most of the IZ Galaxy's population had placed small wagers on how quickly the match would end. None of them understood what they were about to witness. None of them knew that they were about to see 3 million years of evolution unleashed in an arena. None of them realized that the peaceful, harmless-looking creature floating in its pool was actually one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that on Earth, the scariest predators do not always look scary. Sometimes, they look like fat, lazy animals that spend their days floating in muddy water. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the room is the thing that everyone is laughing at. Bruno floated peacefully in his pool, completely unaware of the thousands of aliens making jokes about him. He did not know about the betting pools or the news coverage or the expectations. All he knew was that tomorrow, he would be in a new territory with a new threat to deal with. And when that happened, he would do what Hippos had been doing for millions of years. He would defend his space with everything he had. The Grand Coliseum of Vorthak Rex was the most impressive fighting arena in the galaxy. The massive structure could hold 200,000 spectators from hundreds of different species, each in their own special environment so they could breathe and be comfortable. The fighting floor itself was huge, big enough to create any landscape from frozen wastelands to burning volcanic fields. For today's exhibition, they had created what the announcers called an Earth-like river environment. A large pool took up 1/4 of the arena, fed by artificial waterfalls and surrounded by what was supposed to look like African grasslands. To most observers, it looked more like an elaborate swimming facility than a battlefield. In the premium viewing area reserved for the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of worlds had gathered to watch what most expected to be an amusing break between serious gladiator contests. The main events would feature trained Vorthak warriors, bioengineered combat creatures, and captured predators from various death worlds. But first came the comedy relief. Earth's apex predator versus a standard Krylox hunter. The betting pools closed an hour ago. The insect alien Zektai clicked to his companions. Final odds were 847 to 1 against the Earth creature. Some gamblers bet on it lasting more than 30 seconds. High Arbiter Velthara watched the preparations with apparent disinterest, though she was paying more attention than she showed. The human application for council membership had been the subject of much debate. They were technologically primitive but showed surprising creativity, culturally diverse but unified when threatened. This exhibition would provide valuable information about their judgment and character under pressure. In the arena's preparation chambers, Amanda made final checks on Bruno's condition, while the rest of the human delegation watched on monitors. As the Krylox was released into its holding area, the alien predator moved with fluid grace, its 6 legs carrying it in a prowling circuit around the arena's edge. Each step left gouges in the reinforced flooring from its claws. Magnificent, Jake admitted reluctantly. No wonder they are confident. It is a hunter, Amanda observed clinically. Look at the behavior pattern. It is already mapping the territory, identifying the water as a potential obstacle rather than an opportunity. That is good for us. How is that good? Lisa asked nervously. Because it means the Krylox will try to keep the fight on dry land, where it thinks it has the advantage. It does not understand that it is looking at the battlefield wrong. Bruno floated peacefully in his transport pool, seemingly unaware of the roaring crowd above. Amanda had insisted on keeping him in water until the last possible moment, knowing that hippos were most comfortable and confident in their aquatic environment. Transport to arena floor begins in 5 minutes, announced a Vorthak technician. Lisa turned to Amanda. Any last advice for Bruno? Be a hippo, Amanda replied simply. Do not try to be what they expect, just be what you are. The arena floor fell silent as massive viewing screens around the Coliseum displayed close-ups of both combatants. The Krylox was shown in all its fearsome glory, armor plates gleaming under the artificial suns, claws flexing as it tested the arena's surfaces. The crowd's approval was a rumbling roar that shook the structure. Then the cameras focused on Bruno. The reaction was immediate and predictable. Laughter echoed from every section of the Coliseum. Some species clapped appendages, others flashed bioluminescent displays of amusement, and the Vorthak delegation was openly pointing and making jokes. Bruno appeared exactly as he had in the initial human presentation, a large, gray, seemingly harmless creature floating peacefully in water. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all configurations," the arena announcer's voice boomed across the Colosseum. "Welcome to today's special exhibition. In the tradition of our great games, we present an educational demonstration of Predator versus... Well, we are not entirely sure what to call the challenger." More laughter from the crowd. "In the Eastern Quarter, we have Sharpclaw, a magnificent Krylox hunter trained in the finest Vorthak combat facilities. Undefeated in 17 matches, this apex predator represents the pinnacle of biological weapon design." The crowd cheered as Sharpclaw prowled closer to the center of the arena, its multiple eyes fixed on the water feature where Bruno's transport was being prepared for release. "And in the Western Quarter, representing the planet Earth and the human species, we have Bruno the hippopotamus." The announcement was nearly drowned out by the crowd's laughter and mock applause. General Krexthor leaned back in his viewing throne, thoroughly enjoying himself. "I wonder if we should have betting pools on whether the human creature will even leave the water," he mused to his aide. "Perhaps we should have brought musical accompaniment," his aide suggested. "This promises to be more comedy than combat." In the arena, Bruno's transport pool was wheeled to the edge of the main water feature. Through the transparent sides, he could see the vast space around him, the artificial lighting, and most importantly, the other creature that had entered, his territory. Amanda watched the biometric readings as Bruno first saw the Krylox. His heart rate increased slightly but remained within normal parameters. His posture shifted subtly, becoming more alert. "He is assessing the threat," she murmured to Jake. "Can he handle it? We are about to find out what 3 million years of evolution has prepared him for." The transport pool's barriers retracted, and Bruno slipped into the arena's main water feature with barely a splash. He sank almost completely beneath the surface, leaving only his eyes, ears, and nostrils exposed. To the crowd, he looked like he was hiding. Sharpclaw approached the water's edge with predatory confidence. Its training had taught it to be cautious of unknown environments, but this creature was clearly aquatic and therefore no threat on land. The strategy was simple: wait for the prey to emerge, then end the fight quickly. For long minutes, the two combatants observed each other across 30 feet of water and artificial grassland. The crowd's laughter gradually died down as they waited for action. Some spectators began calling for the match to be declared forfeit due to inactivity. "Dutiak," arena announcer tried to fill the silence. "It appears the Earth creature is taking time to appreciate its surroundings. Perhaps it is admiring the craftsmanship of our arena designers." More scattered laughter, but it was becoming forced. The crowd had come for entertainment, not a staring contest. Bruno remained motionless in the water, only his eyes and the top of his head visible. To the uninformed observer, he looked like a gray rock floating in a pond. But Amanda could see the subtle signs, the way his ears were positioned, the slight tension in his shoulders, the careful positioning that kept the deepest part of the pool at his back. "He is not hiding," she said suddenly. "He is hunting." Jake looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" "Look at his position. He has put himself in the optimal defensive location. Deep water behind him, clear sight lines to all approaches, and he is positioned so that anything coming at him has to enter the water or get very close to the edge." Lisa watched the screens more carefully. "You mean he is setting a trap?" "I mean he is doing what hippos do," Amanda replied. "He is controlling his territory." Sharpclaw grew impatient. The alien predator had been trained for quick, decisive victories. This waiting game was not part of its programmed behavior. It began to pace closer to the water's edge, its claws clicking on the arena floor. The crowd was getting restless too. Calls for action came from the stands. Some spectators were demanding their money back. This was supposed to be entertaining, not boring. General Krexthor frowned. The exhibition was not going as planned. Perhaps the Earth creature was too frightened to fight at all. That would be disappointing. A complete surrender would be less entertaining than at least a brief struggle. Then Sharpclaw made a decision that would change everything. The alien predator decided to end the boring spectacle. It approached the very edge of the water feature and lowered its head to drink, showing the crowd that the Earth creature was so unthreatening that a superior predator could casually ignore. Bruno saw the opening. What happened next would be studied and analyzed by xenobiologists for years to come. The peaceful, floating hippo exploded into motion with a speed that defied physics and common sense. He launched himself from the water like a gray missile, his massive jaws opening to reveal teeth that were decidedly not those of a harmless herbivore. The sound that came from Bruno's throat was nothing like the gentle grunts the crowd expected. It was a deep, thunderous bellow that resonated through the arena like an engine of destruction. The Colosseum's acoustics amplified it into something that made even veteran Vorthak warriors step back. Bruno's charge reached the water's edge just as Sharpclaw spun toward the sound. The Krylox's reflexes were excellent, and it leaped backward with cat-like grace. But Bruno had calculated the distance perfectly. His massive head swung sideways, and 3,000 pounds of hippo momentum connected with the alien predator's flank. The impact sent Sharpclaw tumbling across the arena floor, its armor plates scraping against the reinforced surface in a shower of sparks. The crowd's laughter died instantly, replaced by stunned silence. Sharpclaw recovered quickly, rolling to its feet with predatory efficiency. Its training kicked in, and it began to circle Bruno at a safe distance, looking for an opening. The alien predator was built for speed and slashing attacks. A direct fight with something that outweighed it by thousands of pounds was not ideal, but it had advantages in mobility and reach. Bruno had emerged completely from the water and stood on the arena floor like a gray mountain. His small eyes tracked the Krylox's movement with patient calculation. This was no longer a peaceful zoo animal. This was a territorial bull hippo who had identified a threat in his domain. Magnificent, breathed Jake, watching the drama unfold. Look at his positioning. He is not chasing the Krylox, he is hurting it. Indeed, Bruno's movements were forcing Sharpclaw towards specific areas of the arena. Each time the alien predator tried to circle toward Bruno's sides, the hippo would adjust his position, using his bulk to control where the fight would happen. In the viewing stands, the mood had changed dramatically. The easy laughter was gone, replaced by focused attention. This was no longer a comedy exhibition. It was a genuine contest between two apex predators, and the Earth creature was proving to be far more formidable than anyone had expected. General, Krexthor leaned forward in his seat, his entertainment replaced by professional interest. How is it moving so quickly? He muttered to his aide. Sharpclaw made its first real attack, darting in with lightning speed to rake its claws across Bruno's hindquarters. The alien predator was fast, but Bruno was faster than physics suggested he should be. The hippo spun, with surprising agility, his massive head swinging around like a wrecking ball. Sharpclaw barely escaped, leaving only shallow scratches on Bruno's thick hide. The crowd was silent now, watching with the focused attention reserved for genuine uncertainty. This was not going according to script. Amanda monitored Bruno's vital signs with growing amazement. His heart rate is elevated but stable. Stress hormones are within normal aggressive ranges. He is not panicking, he is hunting. Sharpclaw tried a different approach, attempting to leap onto Bruno's back where the hippo's jaws could not reach. It was a tactically sound move that had worked against other large opponents. But as the Krylox launched itself through the air, Bruno did something that no one expected. He sat down. The move was so simple and unexpected that it caught everyone off guard. Sharpclaw's trajectory, calculated for a standing target, carried it completely over Bruno's suddenly lowered profile. The alien predator landed awkwardly on the arena floor, momentarily off balance. Bruno did not waste the opportunity. He lunged forward with a speed that defied every assumption about his species, his massive jaws opening wide. Sharpclaw tried to roll away, but Bruno's teeth closed around the alien predator's armored torso with a sound like a vice-crushing metal. The arena filled with the noise of cracking chitin as Bruno's bite force, nearly 2 tons per square inch, began to compress. Sharpclaw's protective armor. The Krylox writhed and clawed frantically, its razor-sharp talons scraping desperately against Bruno's hide. But the hippo's skin was inches thick and designed by evolution to withstand exactly this kind of damage. Bruno began to shake his head, from side to side, the way his ancestors had done with crocodiles for millions of years. Each movement sent the Krylox's body whipping through the air like a toy, its armor continuing to crack under the relentless pressure. The crowd was on its feet now, a mixture of cheers and shocked exclamations filling the Colosseum. In the premium viewing box, High Arbiter Velthara found herself leaning forward with intense interest. This was not the outcome anyone had predicted. Sharpclaw made one final, desperate attempt to escape. Using all 6 legs, it managed to twist around and sink its teeth into Bruno's neck, hoping to find a vital artery. But the hippo's neck was protected by layers of muscle and fat that had evolved specifically to defend against such attacks. Bruno seemed almost annoyed by the gesture. With a final, bone-crushing bite, Bruno's jaws closed completely. Sharpclaw's struggles ceased. The arena fell into absolute silence. Bruno held his position for several more seconds, ensuring his opponent was truly defeated, then opened his jaws and let the Krylox's body fall to the arena floor. The alien predator was still breathing but clearly unable to continue. Its armor was cracked in multiple places, several legs hung at unnatural angles, and it made no attempt to rise. Bruno looked around the arena with calm satisfaction, then walked back to his water feature and slipped beneath the surface with barely a ripple. Within moments, he had returned to the peaceful floating position that had amused the crowd less than 10 minutes earlier. The silence stretched for nearly a full minute before General Krexthor found his voice. "Winner," he announced in a tone of complete disbelief, "Bruno the hippopotamus of Earth." The crowd exploded into noise. Cheers, arguments, demands for replays, and the sound of 1,000 different species trying to process what they had just witnessed. In the human delegation's viewing area, Amanda was grinning widely while checking Bruno's post-combat vital signs. Heart rate returning to normal. Stress hormones declining. He is fine, better than fine. He is proud of himself. Lisa turned to Jake with a look of amazement. "We actually won." "No," Jake corrected, his own face lit with satisfaction. "Bruno won. We just gave him the opportunity to show the galaxy what Earth produces." General Krexthor made his way down to the arena floor, his expression unreadable. The human delegation met him at the barrier separating the viewing area from the combat zone. "General," Lisa began, but Krexthor held up a clawed hand. "A Vorthak honors his commitments," he said formally. "I will personally recommend humanity for immediate full membership in the Galactic Council." He paused, studying Bruno's peaceful form in the water. "I owe you an apology, Dr. Morrison, and perhaps I owe your species a great deal more respect than I have shown." Jake nodded graciously. "Earth has many surprises, General. We look forward to sharing them with our new allies." As news of the match spread throughout the galaxy, the betting houses scrambled to pay out the few speculators who had backed the Earth creature. More importantly, the perception of humanity began to shift. If they could produce creatures like this hippopotamus, what other surprises did their planet hold? What other assumptions about this species needed to be reconsidered? In the weeks that followed, Bruno became something of a galactic celebrity. The match footage was analyzed by xenobiologists across dozens of worlds, leading to new appreciation for the diversity and capability of Earth's fauna. More importantly, it led to new respect for the species that had evolved alongside such creatures. Humanity's application for Galactic Council membership was approved unanimously. In his formal recommendation, General Krexthor wrote that the humans had demonstrated their species possessed the judgment to recognize true strength, even when it did not conform to conventional expectations. Any people capable of producing and understanding such magnificent predators deserved respect and partnership. Bruno returned to Earth as a hero, though he seemed largely uninterested in his fame. He spent his days as he always had, floating peacefully, in his pool at the San Diego Zoo, occasionally receiving visits from alien dignitaries who wanted to observe the creature that had changed galactic politics. Amanda often stood by his enclosure in the evenings, watching him drift calmly through the water. "They still do not really understand, do they?" she would murmur. "They think you are some kind of special warrior. They do not realize you were just being a hippo." And in that peaceful floating, in that deceptive calm that masked such tremendous power, lay perhaps the most important lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. On Earth, the most dangerous things rarely look dangerous at all.